So, in this video we will try to see a concept called deindustrialization, right. So, we will see deindustrialization. Deindustrialization, right. So, what is this deindustrialization? A very strange phenomena, very strange, right, a strange phenomena in 19th century, very important feature of colonial economy, impact of colonial economy, deindustrialization. So, what is this deindustrialization? In the same period, British, they experienced industrialization and we experienced deindustrialization. So, a general meaning of this deindustrialization was destruction of Indian handicrafts and cottage industry. So, what exactly, right, the main idea about this deindustrialization? Destruction of Indian handicrafts and cottage industries, right, done. Now, and I told you that this is a strange phenomena because, right, the western countries, England faced industrialization and we faced deindustrialization, right, India suffered, right. So, destruction of Indian industries, some of the British historian, colonial historian, they said that this is natural, that because with the coming of those industrial forces, new industrial forces, right, there would be some destruction. So, this is a myth, this is not a reality. But try to understand, our traditional Indian craft industry destroyed with, you can say, beyond recovery, and there was no industrial growth. So, therefore, to suggest that it was a myth is not acceptable. Is this okay? So, what we can remember that our early nationalists even like R.C. Dutt, our early nationalists like R.C. Dutt, like Madan Mohan Malviya, right, they accepted this, that India underwent deindustrialization, right. So, it is a reality because western scholars, they said no, it is a myth, western scholars said it is a myth, but our nationalist writers also accepted that it is not a myth, it is a reality. Is this fine? I hope you are getting it. So, deindustrialization is a myth, but most of the colonial writers, they rejected it. They said, no, right, there was no deindustrialization in India, right, done. Now, why this deindustrialization and what was the impact of this deindustrialization? So, why this deindustrialization? Some of the historians talked about the causes, like the first cause, why this deindustrialization? First cause is disappearance of native coats. So, as they disappeared because of the British expansion, there was no sponsor, there was no, you can say, support for these handicrafts, cottage industry, dress changed, habits changed. So, therefore, disappearance of the native coats also helped in this deindustrialization. Okay, this is one, and of course, British rule played important role in disappearance of the native coats. Second point is, right, foreign influenced, right, new style, dress, habits. This also led to destruction of the cottage industry, ruin of the cottage industry. right. So this was also one of the reason for, right, one of the reason for deindustrialization. And then third reason was competition, competition, competition from machine made goods from England, machine made goods, right, from England, competition from machine made goods from England, right. So this was also one of the reason for, this was also one of the reason for, right, destruction of the cottage industry. And this was a deliberate policy, there was a deliberate policy, tariff policy introduced, tariff policy in their interest, tariff policy by the British government, one way free trade, one way free trade, right. So they wanted to dump, they wanted to, you can say, pump all those finished products here, and because of the competition of those finished products from England, right, there was, right, this deindustrialization. And always remember that British government colonial policies, right, they use their political power, right, to create difficulties for Indian handicrafts. So there was a deliberate move. And try to remember, even William Bentinck also accepted this. What William Bentinck said, we can add, William Bentinck said that the misery, misery, misery hardly finds a parallel, right, in the history of commerce, in the history of commerce. This kind of deliberate destruction of cottage industry is, you can say, had no parallel in history. And he added, Bentinck added, that the bones of the cotton weavers, the bones of the cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India, are bleaching the plains of India. The bones of the cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India, right. This kind of a statement they can ask you, right. Even Karl Marx also highlighted, accepted that how British broke up the Indian handloom, destroyed the spinning wheel. So you will see many acceptance, right, even some British writers, that they were responsible for destruction of, you can say, our cottage industry. Deindustrialization was not a myth, it was a reality. This you have to remember. Now, what was the overall, you can say, impact, what was the result of this kind of policy? Result, when the cottage industry destroyed, what was the result of this kind of policy? First result was depopulation, all those areas, centers of manufacturing units, you will see that depopulation of that area, depopulation, ruin of towns and cities which were famous for their manufacturing. Second, increase in unemployment, Now they had no option, they started working as a labor. Increase in unemployment. Why? Because there was absence of modern industry, destruction of the traditional industry, unemployment. Third result, breaking of the union between agriculture and industry, whatever limited industry we had, that link, right, now not available, breaking of the union between agriculture and industry, right, and it led to what? Destruction of the self-sufficient village economy, result. And then one more result was, now they had no option, and now they all started, right, you can say, going to village, and there was overcrowding of agriculture, overcrowding of agriculture, when there was destruction of handicraft industry, cottage industry, right, there was more pressure on land. They had no choice. There was no scope for them in urban areas, right. So now they started moving towards, you can say, agriculture. So it added general pressure on land. So deindustrialization also played important role in destruction of our economy, traditional economy.